Now you're playing with podcast.
Huh?
Was it JegCon back then, or was it MGC?
Oh, I went to the first JegCon. It was down in Rochester. And it was like, I know, it was like $10 to get in. And literally, the kid gave me back like $22 and change. And I paid him with a 20. I said, no, I think this is wrong. Like, you're supposed to give me back less.
Oh,
so,
boy.
And yeah,
Did
and
they
I played
end up to change with the Jaguar?
Huh?
Did they end up to change with the Jaguar?
No. He used his head. He was a younger kid, so I don't think they know how to do that nowadays.
They're paying you to go.
Could have been it. It wasn't bad, no, but yeah, that was that's how it all started. That turned into MGC, I guess, and I've only been to 2 of those. But I like to take my kids back because they're just the one of mine. He's really into pinball, the one the contest at the pizza place.
Get him hooked young.
What's that?
Get him hooked young.
Yeah. He was hooked. He was playing the Indiana Jones. And then I barely touched my Xevious here. So I got that. That's sitting right behind me.
All right. Well, I think 18 minutes in recording now, so I guess we can start talking podcasts.
Woohoo.
So we got... Yeah,
no, seriously. I'm excited.
Yeah, that is lame pinball talk and having fun. Let's talk podcasts. Something I do to just not fall asleep at work. We have our round table today. We have Ferg, who's the host of the 2600 Game by Game podcast.
Hello.
We've got S1500, a podcast critic and host of the classic console Gamernews, the self-described worst podcast ever.
I like the title Curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon, that's right, the podcast Curmudgeon. I forgot that. Thank you for reminding me. And we've got RJ, who's also another critic on the AtariAge infamous thread.
I do not have a podcast.
No, and that's probably a good thing. We got half critics and half podcasters, so you guys can really light people on fire and we can, claim innocence.
How bad can we go after them? I was thinking about that all day. Light them up? Or?
Yeah, whatever you want, man. I don't want to make this too formatty, but what was your first gaming podcast or podcast in general that got you into it? Because it is still a relatively new phenomenon or for new media.
Oh, geez. I don't even think I listen to that one or subscribe to it anymore. It might not even exist.
What was it?
Oh, geez. I can't remember. Everybody go around. I'll look it up.
Was it Retro Gaming Radio?
That was my answer. Shane R. Monroe back in the day. Before, who wouldn't talk about curmudgeon, he wouldn't even call it a podcast.
Media cast.
It didn't want to be associated with Apple whatsoever. What was his co-host's name? I like that guy. He passed away.
Forgot, but
yeah,
they had a great show.
They did. That was back. He had energy, and he did it once a month, and the interviews were top notch. And I haven't listened to his new incarnation, but he left for a long time, and I would assume that if he's doing it by himself, he's even more of a hard ass.
Yeah, the latest one, he's like months behind on.
Really?
Yeah, I think I stopped subscribing actually.
We miss you. It's a good podcast.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was my first podcast, like in anything, was Retro Gaming Roundup, or Retro Gaming Radio. And the Retro Gaming Roundup guys, I guess, took the torch from the mantle. Is that the phrase?
Yeah, they did continue in good spirit.
Yeah,
they started having fun with it.
Was that how they started that? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Sure. That's how Retro Gaming Roundup started, from rising from the ashes of another podcast.
Pretty much, because they basically go to Vegas whenever they have the show there and do all the interviews.
Oh, okay.
I think it's very tenuously attached.
Okay.
I know they play the clips on their show and of Shane R. Monroe, and they kind of make fun of him, but that's UK Mike's weird sense of humor that, since I'm American, I don't get it half the time, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I remember early on where he just kept saying, Genesis is a band, not a podcast, or a game system. Like, well, yeah, and he kept saying it that episode.
Right.
Like, well, I don't know how much longer I want to subscribe to this one. But it panned out. That's when I listen to every month, and I'm eager to download it.
I have to admit I skip around, but it's kind of funny. I don't know if they have a good team. Jesus Christ, I shouldn't be making fun of this much, but they don't think that their team dynamic is the best. I think it's kind of like a 2-on-1 bully situation going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And who do they go after?
They go after SoCal. Yeah.
That's easy to tell.
But ironically, UK and Scott liked my show, and SoCal didn't really care for it or didn't listen to it. But yet, I always find myself siding with SoCal most of the time on these arguments that they have. So it's like, well, like who do I? Yeah. All right, let's settle this right now then, without going to the argument. Whose side did you take on that Space Invaders argument?
Pac-Man.
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 That was SoCal's choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Space Invader didn't make any sense. I mean, I understand it's an icon for video games now, but back then it was not an icon for video games. Pac-Man was more...
It's nuanced. I think it was an icon in Japan.
Okay.
But in America, it wasn't. Like, if you saw the Space Invaders pinball machine,
right?
It looked like Alien, basically, the movie. Just, creepy shit trying to kill you. It wasn't, it wasn't cute at all whatsoever. And, like, the Atari 2600 version, we just had the little flying saucer on the front.
Right.
And they didn't even, bring over the sprites to the Atari versions.
Well,
yeah.
I think I found one of the early podcasts I listened to that might have kicked it off for me. And S1500 is going to love this. It was Retro Force Go with Ken Selmo the Screamer.
Oh, God. That kid.
One of his favorite people.
I thought you were going to say, for a good retro gaming podcast, Twitch Asylum, because that goes in the Hall of Fame of best podcast ever.
Yeah,
I heard that's
good,
but I've never heard it.
You can skip the modern segment, but the retro segment, they get really deep into things because they have some older hosts and they really know their stuff.
It was funny in Portland. The Retronauts had a live show. I didn't go to it. I was busy getting my sanity in Tetris. They did some. I don't know if they were talking about Genesis, but like 2 or 3 of them said that they weren't Genesis people at all. So it's like, why are you even having this discussion as so-called experts if you don't even know the subject you're talking about? And like when they had the Atari episode, they were pretty.
Yeah, that was kind of bad.
Is this right?
Were they trying to play like Mother 2 on the Atari and wonder why it didn't work?
But here I am shitting on people already. Whatever. I guess I lost it. Sorry for the high road. I'm down here with the scum now.
I still
welcome to the scum.
I don't know if you guys share the opinion that I think Retronauts have gotten a lot better since they did the Kickstarter. I know you guys didn't. I don't think you guys liked the Kickstarter that much, but they seem to be. Well, I guess aside from not studying up on the Atari or Genesis, that they seem to be more dedicated to it and not so much, slagging themselves off about having a crappy podcast or whatever.
They're way more professional than I'll ever be. So I when I say these things, I have to take into that with a grain of salt. That for me, even to get shows off the ground is, it's. I have 2 or 3 other co-hosts depending on the episode, and getting us all together in one room is my major accomplishment.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, it's great.
I think.
Who said that?
Oh, I did. RJ. I think even after Jeremy Parrish kind of gave up the main hosting duties, I think I noticed it got a lot better.
When Bob Mackey started.
Bob Mackey, right.
Yep.
And he didn't have the attitude of Jeremy. Well, here's another podcast about old games no one's going to listen to, and he had that self-deprecating humor and no good, and
He's no longer the host?
He's on there, but he's not necessarily running the show.
Okay, that's worth the Kickstarter contribution right there. I might resubscribe.
Was that
they kind of
right.
Was that
stretch goal?
You hear a lot less of him now.
When they make episodes, they don't have like a 3-hour symposium about like the 3rd level of Final Fantasy VII, the Japanese version. Since I don't know,
they're like under an hour now per episode.
Yeah.
Do you listen to the non-gaming podcasts at all? Because I have to say honestly, when I'm at work, I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. I don't do the gaming ones too much these days. Try to pass the time, not get angry at people for things that I already know.
What kind of comedy podcasts do you listen to, Chris?
A lot of Nerdist. Used to listen to a lot of Kevin Smith,
Nerdist.
not so much now. WTF, some Jay Moore, depending on the guest. And then I mean, like Bill, like some people like Bill Burr, who I think is really funny, but when they talk to themselves, I don't like it as much. I kind of like Conversations, which is kind of how I make my own show. I
Right.
prefer people talking to each other and bouncing off one another rather than just somebody going on and on and on, which is why I skip a lot of Retro Gaming Roundup because that's what a lot of their segments are. A lot of solo segments I just don't get into as much, even if it's good material. I prefer the interviews and then the arguments to the top 10 and the news segments.
Yeah,
I do listen to like TC Media Now. There's like a radio nostalgia show. Like they have like newscasters from yesteryear. But
has that been updated lately?
yes, they did a couple episodes last week.
Okay, I kind of unsubscribed because I think there was a couple month pyramid where he wasn't doing anything, and I like to pare down my podcast list from time to time, just so I don't feel overwhelmed. But that was good when you brought it up on in the forums. Yeah, I subscribed and I heard most of the shows, but maybe I should resubscribe.
It's totally worth it. And I listen to computer podcasts.
Do you listen to computers talk?
Yep, Retro Computing Roundtable, Floppy Days, Open Apple, and Antic. These all just came up within like the last year.
Antic, yes.
Do they talk back and forth with modem sounds?
I wish.
Oh. I kind of miss that. That's kind of strange with we can have all this nostalgia for 80s pop culture and video games and whatnot, but internet nostalgia, you can't really do it. There's really no way to look. You know, you can see a screenshot here and there, but it's like the very first version of Yahoo or the very first Google and that sort of thing. But that's kind of one of those things that we're gonna like just have to totally remember off our own memory. We're not gonna be able to see a lot of that or even use it.
Yeah, back then a lot of people ate my balls, including Mr. T.
All your base are belong to us, and
Yep, that one too.
I still miss Homestar Runner because they haven't updated in 3 years, and I think those guys have moved on to like real gigs in Hollywood now. And it's like,
Yeah.
I heard somebody make the analogy that the quality of the internet's always like mirrored the quality of Homestar Runner. And I think the last 3 years the internet has been awfully fucking terrible.
I miss his weekly emails. That was on Ferg
Oh.
for a long time.
The best with the compy with the 386.
386, yeah.
Yes.
Would Retroist qualify as non-gaming, even though he does some gaming podcasts here and there?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been with him since the get-go.
I think again since he's kind of single person, I like his
Right.
personal stories at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The factual stuff not as much. I kind of think the same way with Ferg show. Like, you know, I like the personal stuff a lot. The stories you bring in from readers and stuff, but then the fact portions of it, I hit or miss with that.
Yeah, it's
And
it's
not
overwhelming
But
sometimes.
and I'm not, you know, I don't want to. You're not. It's not a slam or anything. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's what you like.
All
That's all.
Ferg, Retroist is out by you, isn't he? Don't you know somebody that knows him?
No, I don't. No,
Oh.
no.
Because
I have
somebody
no
called
idea.
him. Somebody blew his cover one time on Facebook, and I think you said, "Oh, that's my friend, someone or other."
No, that was my friend, and I checked I checked his site, and I think he thought he was talking to me
Right.
because I replied to it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think he thought he was talking to me because the Retroist wasn't on his Facebook page. So
Okay, I see.
yeah, but yeah, for a while I think people thought it was Levi Buchanan from Retrocity, but
I did.
Yep.
yeah,
Never saw the two of them together.
Yeah, going back, I went to compare again. I said, "Well, no, that's not him. You can tell."
yeah, yeah. It sounds remarkably the same though.
Oh, yeah.
So if you know, especially if you hadn't listened to the Retrocity for a while.
Levi is
Love to hear
a little
sorry.
more liable. Go ahead.
Skype problems. I'd love to hear him more on shows where he would talk to. I think I heard him on one podcast talk about stuff, but he didn't get a whole lot in, or they talk about other things too much. But
With the Retroist you're talking
yes,
about?
yeah.
Oh yeah, he was on Nerd Lunch, I think, the Atari 2600
Yeah, I heard
episode
that.
they did.
Okay, yeah. So what makes a good gaming podcast in particular? I've already given my 3, 4, 5, 6 cents on that already. So
Well, are we talking modern or?
well,
retro?
whatever. I mean, whatever. What gets your boat like in general? I guess we'll go with Ferg first. We'll try to keep it orderly.
Okay, well, the reason I like yours and Twitch Asylum, it's just a bunch of guys in a room talking about games, you know, whether it be, well, it's mostly classic for you guys, I think. A little bit modern. I'm not really into modern games, so
We like to make fun of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to glaze over those parts, but
Here, here.
I think when you're in the room together, it's a different vibe than when you're on Skype like we are now.
Yeah, it is a little
It's like we
hard.
never, especially if you grow up together playing the games.
Right.
That makes a difference too. And I guess I'm willing to forgive sound quality if the talk is good, but it's got to be at least decent.
Yeah, I don't think ours is horrible anymore. I think it's
no. You got to give it a chance.
Yeah,
let people work out their sound issues.
Learn how to do it.
Yeah, because most people, this is the first time they're doing something like that. Like I wouldn't know how to record off Skype like you're doing. So
I still don't. I hit a bunch of buttons.
The big one in the middle.
So if you hear like backwards stuff, that's it. So RJ, what do you like?
Maybe not too many hosts or not too many guests going on because you get a lot of talking over each other, which is, I think, a problem that I believe Retronauts used to do when they kicked off. And then I like how you, on the countdown that you do, you like to rein them in.
I've learned how to do that. It's an acquired
You'll just start going off on anything. And like, okay, number 34. Ready to regroup.
I got to finish the top 10. That'll come out before this one, but
right.
Yeah.
Maybe a limit on how many hosts there are and stuff. Maybe 4 max, probably. That's probably about the best. And then I like, the title has to be correct. The name of the podcast, if it's got retro in it, better be retro. Because I've listened to a few out there. Retro Future Podcast. I dumped that one after the first episode. Isn't
that kind of an oxymoron?
I think they meant, I tried figuring it out one day, and I think they meant in the future, this is going to be retro.
So it's a modern podcast.
Yeah, from what I got out of it. A lot of it was they were just kind of talking about what it's like to go clubbing in L.A. Because they were like a bunch of young, like Latino, maybe 20-year-olds. I know they were younger than I am in there. I don't know. And the one girl had the news segment, and she's like, she would read the news item, and then she'd end every sentence with, and shit. And shit. So if you like this game and shit, you should go out and buy it and shit. And then that leads me to my other one. You can cut down on the swearing. I mean,
I'm not going to cut down on the swearing.
No, okay, I'm not talking to anybody here. It's just like that.
I'm not very terrifying.
Him too.
Angry Game Nerd Syndrome. He does it fine with his shtick, but when he talks regular, he doesn't cuss that much. I think it's right. He knows it's an act. I don't think most kids do.
But I think out in society now, I mean, when I go out and I see like a group of maybe, teenagers, it's not a matter of if they're going to swear in their conversation. It's a matter of when.
You think those fucking modern podcasters.
Man, And when I'm with my kids, I'm like
steering away from them. They talk about Call of Duty.
Right. I don't know. You can get your point across without using the F-bomb and 3 times in a sentence. So, but what did I pick up? I picked up a new podcast, and they throw that in there a lot. Oh, what's it called? I don't even remember. I didn't even write about it on the forum in the thread.
Oh man, you're slacking.
I know. I'm easing up lately.
It's just becoming a big commercial for us and Retro Gaming Roundup.
Yeah, I'm cutting some slack from the podcasters here. They don't do. They were all involved with Games Radar, and I don't know how many of them do it now. It's on my iPod. My kids got that right now.
What about you, S?
For podcast content that I like when there's a panel discussion. 2 people minimum, 4 people max. But if you're doing it solo, you can still do it and pull it off. It's just nice to have something to bounce off of with somebody else. What I look for in podcast content is your impressions. You can watch the game, you can play the game, you can read articles about the game, but your individual impressions about it, that's what you bring to the table. Like, for example, when you talked about the pinball game Centaur, you thought it said Dr. BS on the drop targets. I didn't think that, but I thought it was funny and fun to hear about. As for swearing, I'm going to swear from time to time. I'm going to talk about some really stupid stuff from time to time, like really inappropriate topics, but as long as you reel it in. Like, for example, when I'm having lunch, I don't want anybody to say shit because I don't want to think about that when I'm eating food. That just grosses me out. And that is my biggest pet peeve ever, too. That and looking
swearing?
at my lunch. Just saying shit at the dinner table.
Listening to podcasts while eating? That's horrible.
No, it's a bad mistake too. Don't do half the podcast for trying to eat. Ferg's the only safe one for that.
Yeah. Well, he got bleeped his latest episode. I heard something, but that's because somebody wrote in and said it. I believe.
Yeah, I totally missed it when I was reading it.
Well, it's a good thing you caught it.
You go into reading mode. You're not even like processing. You're just verbatim. Yeah.
Right.
You're Rod Burgundy.
Stay classy.
And I think that's it. It's just like these younger podcasters nowadays. It's in their speech, and it's just another adverb or another pronoun that they use. It's usually the F word, could be the S word. S1500 said, I'm not totally against it. I mean, I swear with the best of them.
Yeah.
But I don't like to, if I'm on a podcast, you don't have to lay it on so thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a gangbanger here. I'm just a guy talking about video games.
Right. And you can, I
mean,
believe
that's not the same thing?
What you talking about? Huh?
GTA 5, bitch.
Oh, I've heard enough about that on these podcasts, like the modern portions.
Yeah, between that and with the comedy podcast, sorry to derail the conversation, but everybody's in LA or New York and they've got comedy jobs and writing jobs and everything's like a fucking project, and it is kind of like a completely different way of life.
Yeah.
And it just kind of desensitizes you to all the mystique of, not that I watch a lot of television, I'm a parent, I don't care anymore. It's, I watch a little bit of baseball and my kids' TV pretty much. So it's, but it's really odd that, that's how I think about the world now is through the entertainment industry for some reason, including podcasts, because that's what everybody does to get ahead now.
How are we getting ahead?
I don't think you meant us.
No.
Just out
in Hollywood.
Yeah, out there. I don't know. I don't know. There's one I listened to, the Legacy Music Hour. It's on the Nerdist Network.
I've heard it referenced.
Yeah, it's like a couple comedians do it, and they like just play these really obscure tracks from these. They'll do like a whole episode on like pachinko game music, or some weird shit like that. So it's it's not Mega Man 2 over and over and over again. But even that's on the Nerdist Network, and they're working comedians, so they're talking about their upcoming sets in San Francisco at the Laugh Factory, and
exactly.
And it's like, wow, it's we had Mike Lawrence on, and he's like an up and coming guy. And he was really cool to be on our show and all, but I'd still, I don't know how close I want to get to that, but I still kind of feel like I'm part of it because I listen to it all the time. It's really weird.
Doesn't Hardwick on the Nerdist, does he start off every episode with 4 minutes of?
Yeah, they have their little.
They
have their little intro with the little beat underneath, because that's what the professionals do. They have their little under track of non-licensed music that they can play for free, and they talk
through that. Go right to the show.
Yeah,
right where the music picks up.
Right, and sometimes it's good, and a lot of times it isn't. But it's free. I can't bitch.
Yeah,
a catchy theme song helps me too.
Yeah,
I actually like the Retronauts new one.
Yeah, I want to do a theme song for ours. See, Tan and Becky know Rental Floss, but they don't talk to him enough to actually do something for us. He hasn't been on the show yet. He hasn't done a song for us yet. So it's that's kind of the worst place to be if you know somebody.
Just find a cheesy instrumental track from the 80s and just put your stuff over.
Yeah.
Now it's time for You're Playing with Podcast.
I did the I got the Odyssey 2 going for our voice, and I love it, but I don't know if anybody else likes it or even recognizes it.
Oh, I do.
Oh, God, is that the O2?
Yeah.
See, I've never heard one, so I didn't know.
Yeah, there's a crap, what's it called? It's one of those programs that talk and type. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's an audio test at the end that just goes up in tones.
That is a broken ColecoVision that would play a different tone every time you turn it on. So I just multi-tracked 4 layers of that, and then I had a broken Odyssey 2 that would do that sound when they turn it on, and then I had the Intellivision reversey. Whenever the computer's making a move and it thinks, that's a thinking sound. It's just random tones all over the place. So that was the song that I put together.
You're kind of like the Daft Punk of broken video game consoles.
I know, yeah, I'm that's what I'm trying to be. I don't know if anybody likes it at all, but I'm glad something you guys recognized it.
No, I do. I like it a lot. It gives
thanks.
me the creeps when I'm at work at 3 o'clock in the morning by myself. But I do like it.
When I was in college, I was more into that experimental stuff, and nowadays I'm old and I like melodies like every other old fogey, but that's all I can do musically, so it's not big music.
If you want to hear music that's been good sampled, try the Intellivision Airs. They've got some really great music in between their segments.
Yeah, I think they used some of the ones off Intellivision Lives because they put like some techno songs on that. Like
The techno songs are the original ones. Yeah, they took ones from the Intellivision Lives too, but
yeah, I heard that. I only heard the first episode of that so far.
it's very
I think the
nerdcore.
new one just came out.
It just came out yesterday. Yeah.
Something to listen to tomorrow.
They called attention to it on Facebook, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think my iPod.
Yeah, I think.
downloaded.
Doesn't one of them make some music too for the show?
Yep, that's one of the guys. That's a guy. That did it.
Okay.
That's a good podcast. It's good to see another pre-crash video game podcast.
Yep. Can never get enough of those.
It's
Yeah.
up to 2.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. We talk a lot of Nintendo too, unfortunately. But that's like I said with us. It's since we're divided, we don't have everybody on the same page. It's a positive, not a Final Fantasy chat.
Yeah, as long as you have variety. People are going to talk about Pong all the way up to maybe the 3DO. You're good.
I agree.
You should have seen me during the top 100 one when they were like Fallout 3 came up. I would just sit back and like I don't know what the.
That's what I
Even
would've
I'll
done,
get
too.
into that.
There's like a little boy in it or something like a cartoon character in it. That's about all I know about it. And I sort of go off on like BioShock and how pretentious it is, but that kind of discussion, I don't know. Has it been done too much? Like the modern game sensibilities.
God, I don't know. Everything I know about modern games I've picked up from podcasts because I don't have any here. I don't even touch them.
Yeah, I'm not buying a PS4 or a Xbox 361.
I don't have anything from this generation.
No?
No. Newest thing we got, which came out, the Wii or the DSi first?
Wii or DSi?
Yeah, I got both, but
Okay, yeah. Well, that's console Wii is a Wii. The DSi thing came after that, but
right. I just started playing that again. My kids like that Photo Dojo, where you make your own little fighting game. You take pictures of each other, and then those become the fighters.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's pretty cool.
I totally missed out on that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's a few years old, though, so it's not new.
Is that a Wii game?
It's on the DSi.
Oh, DSi. Okay.
I think it was free. I think when they first introduced it, and now it's like $200, which is like $2. They use points, but it's a penny a point.
So you take a selfie, so it's like a selfie fighter.
Well, no. What we did is we got a blank wall in our house, and then you can either take pictures of yourself by yourself, or the better way is to have somebody take your pictures. And there's a little guide on the DSi, and you turn it 90 degrees like a book. And then there's like a little outline of, well, this is how you should be standing for a punch.
this is download, right? This isn't cartridge.
No, download, yep.
If that were just sold in cartridge and you picked the used copy up at GameStop, that'd be dick.
Oh, no. You're one drunk college
Food
student
fighter.
away.
Right. Yeah, it'd be scary. But there are things online where like they have the
Oh,
outline.
that's online? Oh, no.
No, well, you can call these pictures up on your computer screen, and then you can take a picture, like
Oh, okay.
Mario or Zelda or Link, or you could have a whole video game collection. I think you can do up to 8 fighters, and then you can you tape your sound effects like oof and ouch, and when you get hit, it's pretty cool.
You could be your own Mortal Kombat then?
Yes, exactly. And then you can make your own backgrounds. We took a picture of one of my backgrounds is the backyard. So my kids are fighting each other in the backyard. I'm not sure it hit really big when it came out.
I
It's a
hadn't heard
few
of it
years old
before.
now. Yeah, but it's a good little game. Keeps the kids
Rather than
busy.
actually fighting each other.
That's true. Well, they do their share of that too.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
won't-
Now it's in video game form.
Right.
How's their totally change the thing? How's the workload for you, Ferg? You're getting them out every week now, so is that you keeping up with that okay, or are you getting tired of it yet, or?
Not tired of it. It's just I procrastinate too much and leave stuff till the last minute. So I'm trying.
You procrastinate? Look at look at S&I. No.
Yeah, look at me.
Uh,
Going a million miles an hour compared to us.
You've gone plaid.
I finally got that Gauntlet episode out. I was jonesing for that one back when.
Yep, and I half-assed it just for you.
So
I appreciate it.
you're gonna you got the Pinball Expo episode. Is that up yet, or?
Yeah, I have to put a disclaimer on it since I went with a company for our exhibit, and we actually won best exhibit for our whole company.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Where do you work now?
Well, I don't work for them. I was just with a friend. He made a pinball from scratch. I did the programming. The company that made the boards for this, they made the exhibit hall. So we had like 9 or 10 homebrew pinball machines. Ours was one of them.
That's amazing that there's that many.
Oh.
I mean, I remember seeing Bill Paxton a couple years ago and thinking that was
Ben Heck was there too.
That was off the charts, and now everybody's doing it. Where do I find these people and get one for myself?
I'll tell you about it
Make your own, Chris.
I need to buy a regular machine. We were talking before we went on the air about pinball, and it is sort of a niche subject. You can talk video games with most people. Like I work with a bunch of middle-aged women, and occasionally video games will come up, and I can say, "Well, I still have an Atari," and then they'll talk about their grandkids or some bullshit. But like pinball, I couldn't even. There's no way I could even approach that subject with them.
But if somebody tells you,
does the talk come up?
What's that, ass?
If somebody tells you that they have a Twilight Zone that's just gathering dust, don't offer to take it off their hands for a couple $100. You will do that.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yes. And I've got a basement where it's going to be virtually impossible to take it out of my basement once it's down there. So that's probably to my advantage, at least in terms of. Well, I don't want to become a hoarder. Like that'd be bad if I got a bunch of them. But if I got one machine down there, that'd be perfect. Well, shit. What else is on the? What other podcast talk do we have here? I mean, what's the history of the thread on AtariAge? I mean, because that's how old is that thing?
Oh, it's a storied history. 2009, I think.
And I mean, podcasts have exploded since then, or still about the same, or just die and regenerate at the same frequency. I mean, I wasn't into it then.
The first one, not the last one. Sorry.
I think some of them might have taken off kind of because of our thread. Ferg's did, I know, didn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'd like to think we had a hand in helping that one get off the ground, huh?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I was reading the thread for 3 years before I even started the podcast. So that's
We
why
told you what not to do.
Yeah, no cursing, no Final Fantasy.
Hear enough of that on the other retro podcast.
Yeah.
You're not going to run into that on Atari anyway.
No, you're not.
Of all the D-Mix on Atari with, like the Princess Rescue and the Zippy the Porcupine, nobody's tried Final Fantasy yet on the Atari 2600. Thank God.
Thank God. Seconded. I got a date of the thread started Tuesday, November 10th, 2009. S kicked it off.
And that was Retro League was the first thing you mentioned, right? I think they had just started.
Retro League and
still
Racket
around.
Boy and Retro Core. Ugh.
Ugh, yeah. So I guess for me, I make this thread and then I start my own podcast. So I'm kind of like Lady Gaga. She is a clubber and then she's singing in clubs. It's a bad comparison. All right, never mind. I said that.
Can we quote you on that?
No.
What are you wearing right now?
Well, I'm just
A
wearing
meat suit.
refrigerator like anybody else would.
Meat.
She had a meat suit on one time, didn't she?
Yes.
I don't know. That's another thing I don't follow. That's right up there with modern gaming. Put them in the same bucket for me.
Well, RJ is wearing the patented Madonna-style microphone for this podcast, so that does kind of fit the. You can dance and podcast at the same time.
I feel like an air traffic controller. The mic is like right on my lips, though.
Don't sneeze, because then you might think there's a bunch of planes landing at the same time. Then you have to go on a summer rental vacation.
I don't want to be responsible for that.
That's John Candy. Sorry, he's still dead.
Too soon? No, there's a reference to Bitmob on here when Shu from EGM used to be the editor at EGM. He had one that was hit or miss sometimes. He did a good retro episode where anything they talked about had to be like pre-NES. So I
Interesting.
That. Yeah,
Good
that was
idea.
really good.
What
I don't think that's around anymore, though. I'm not sure.
have you noticed the divide between even like NES kids and older and Atari kids?
Yes.
Because I'm 37 and I'm right in between the two. I had an Intellivision in like first, second grade, and then I got an NES in seventh grade, in like 1988 or so. So I'm like one of the few people that did both, because most people, when they had an Atari, if you're older than me, I guess, kind of stuck with it after the crash.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you gather too?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, touting my superiority over every other podcast right now.
I had a friend who got the NES. I never had an NES. I have a Yobo now. I can tell clearly NES kids from Atari kids.
And
it's not a bad thing.
it's a shame because at the Portland show, Joe DeCure was there, and the guy who did Space Rocks was there, and they had like a couple panels, but you couldn't even go to all the Atari specific panels because they were all crossing over with one another. Yeah. And then the Atari competition was in the middle of one of the panels as well. And yet they have a bunch of podcasters and YouTube idiots. I call myself an idiot too, but even I didn't have a panel there. But it's kind of a shame that they can't. I mean, I know the cultures are separated. It's kind of hard to. It's kind of like black and white movies, I guess, with the Atari kids. Like if you grew up with a Nintendo and later playing Atari is like watching a black and white movie for many of us. You kind of appreciate it from a distance, but it's hard to get into.
Yeah, I can see that.
The industry changed quite a bit, and not just because of years or technology, but between the Nintendo and the NES era. Well, the slate was wiped clean.
The culture that did it too. I mean, you're talking like California, tail end of the baby boomer culture of the '80s, versus Japanese salaryman culture in Japan, and their whole fucked up tentacle porn. Inspired ideas. I mean, have you ever played Devil World on the Famicom? I mean, come on.
It wasn't a bad game.
No, it was weird, but just the whole let's go to church or something and play Pac-Man. Or I didn't quite get the.
Was that Miyamoto?
Yes.
Yeah, because that music is in one of the downloadable DSi game. You can buy the music from that. Yeah.
Of all the things they recycle, my co-host Steve just pointed out that the the GameCube music that plays in the background while you're like on the screen, like when you're selecting game and memory card and that sort of thing. That really apparently that's the Famicom disk system music slowed down super slow.
Really?
Yeah. If you ever see, they do music. Sometimes they'll put up like music videos on YouTube of songs and it'll slow it down extremely slow.
Yeah.
And it's almost like like this completely artsy fartsy back. Hello, we on?
Yeah.
We had a hiccup.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Okay.
Is everybody okay?
Getting what we're paying for Skype. But anyway.
You rezzed a bit.
Yeah, I did. Play with the trans vibrator. I don't know what to talk about. GameCube or something, and that's modern gaming, so whatever. The retro police are coming, and UK Mike's going to throw me in jail with Genesis the band.
Right. We were talking about how old the podcast thread was.
All these podcasts that are referenced in the early pages, I don't think they're even around anymore, except for a few.
Yeah, I see a lot of, there's Retroist Talk and Retronauts. We were talking about Retronauts 4 years ago.
Yeah.
They were different back then. Retro Gaming Roundup.
That's kind of a thing. I mean, is it how long do you plan on doing these shows? I mean, I don't know with my situation. There's 4 of us, and that's kind of bad in that getting us all together is hard, but then it's kind of good because if one person doesn't feel like doing it, the other 3 of us can keep going for a while.
Right.
Ferg, there's only 700 some Atari games.
Only, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Ferg's got a way to go.
How many are worth talking about? Real? I mean, I know you've done the joke Atari first party games and stuff, but are you really going to like do episodes on, say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a shitty company that isn't porn.
Ocean.
like the Froggo games. You're gonna do like you can do all the Froggo games or
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Really?
They're coming up actually. They got 2 coming up. Yep.
Spider Droid and what's the other one?
Karate.
Right. I've heard that one.
Those will be short episodes, I'm sure.
Just say the name. Moving on.
Yeah.
Karate sucked.
I like your bit with the 70s cop show when you were talking about the 2 programmers that kind of had 70s names.
Oh, yeah. Kaplan and Whitehead.
Thursdays at 9.
That's what you were referencing, S? In the thread? I'm like, what is this? Oh, okay. I gotta go back and read that. Thursday nights on ABC. Are we assuming our listeners have read the thread on the forum, or
no?
Okay.
I
don't want to reference a bunch of stuff they don't know.
This could possibly be the worst episode of Now You're Playing with the Podcast because and my co-host and I'm pretty boring. But
I don't remember the early part of the thread. Is there any YouTube stuff on there? Because
No,
I don't understand YouTube that stuff too much.
No, all Gen Gamers used to bring that up a lot. They started off fine, and I liked them.
Yeah.
But then they started, made it evident, we're all YouTubers. Here, you can find us on YouTube. Go watch our YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And I started out, I listen to the podcast at work or when I'm commuting, and I don't have time. I got to keep my eyes on my work. All right, I don't have time to look at YouTube.
I watch a couple. I watch like GameSack. They do like a 20-minute episode every 2 weeks, so that's doable on Sunday mornings. And they seem to know their shit, but then they don't they don't play anything Atari. Everything's Nintendo or Sega or later. Then there's like guys that are likable, like Metal Jesus, who's on. I guess he's on All Gen Gamers, but there's really not a lot of depth in what he says. He basically talks about what he has and then shows some screenshots and talks a little bit about it, but the lack of depth or insight. I mean, for me, it's. I don't know. He's a nice guy though, so I don't want to say, "Oh, he sucks, get off the air," or anything like that. That guy.
He's the best thing that ever happened to All Gen Gamers.
Really, yeah. And who was the other guy who replaced Johnny Millennium?
Yeah, I didn't care for him.
Like a lot of these guys that wanted to be, the nice version of the angry video game nerd.
Who was the happy console gamer?
Who, like I said earlier, he doesn't know his shit, but he doesn't have to know his shit because the videographer who just kind of did it as a one-off joke and it became super popular, and he knows a lot more than the average person, and good for him. And he likes Atari, so you can't that's the one thing I always go back to for people that hate him, that monologue he gave about the 2600, I think on his 5200 episode. That's like, oh, he fucking gets it. Good for that guy. So,
who's this now?
Angry Video Game Nerd.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember going to there's a show in Pennsylvania, Too Many Games, and he was there, and there was just a huge line for him to sign. I just don't. It's weird.
His latest Atari episode was really good, and his co-host, wow, is he good at Kaboom? Nailed. He's like that kid on The Wizard. He's just like this autistic savant good.
Wow.
At Kaboom.
California.
Yeah, I do have a confession to make, though.
Oh, yeah?
I said a while back in the thread I unsubscribed to All Gen Gamers. I'm kind of secretly listening to them. I'm actually
only 5 people.
I'm up to date on all their shows. But I'm still not subscribed.
See, I don't even subscribe to any shows. That's what's weird. I listen to what I can listen to on a browser at work. So some of those don't even come through. Like if it's like one of those MP4 episodes, like super enhanced, or I can't watch YouTube at work, so I don't listen to any of those. And I don't have time at home. So
getting back to YouTube, I have seen a lot of Metal Jesus' stuff, and because I remember in the thread I said as much as I seem to be against YouTube, I have watched my share of stuff on there. I've been watching a lot of Starcade, though, lately.
Oh, Starcade.
Starcade.
I love
I
Starcade.
watched that as a kid.
Yeah,
every day on TBS. Did Retro's on that show yet?
I don't think so.
Retro Gaming Roundup interviewed the host.
Oh, was it?
Oh, that was great. I went back and listened to it a couple of weeks ago.
He was there for Jack Ruby shooting Oswald. And then he's hosting an 80s game show, arcade games, and actually played the games. What an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Do you like Jeff Edwards better than the other guy? I don't even know the other guy's name. He had dark hair.
I only remember Jeff Edwards. I think it was syndicated with Jeff Edwards, or that's the TBS version. I don't know who was before him.
Yeah, he's a shorter guy with dark hair. I think his name was Jim something. I don't know.
Apparently Alex Trebek was on a pilot.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That would have been awesome.
I think on Starcade's website they have a screenshot of it.
I couldn't imagine that. I just wouldn't have the same panache.
I miss me some Game Show Network with the retro game shows. Back when they actually just showed old reruns.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
You know what we used to do? We used to watch Love Connection, and then they'd have me guess what the year was depending on their fashions. It's like we watched the script, okay, 1986, and then we see this credit scope. It's like, 1989. Darn it, missed it.
That is fantastic.
I want the stirrup pants on, just threw me off, you know?
That's right. I remember your episode talking about when you thought stirrup pants were hot.
Yep, still do.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I didn't mind that episode. I said, stick with that stuff. All that 80s stuff is awesome.
They mentioned Rob O'Hara's podcast back in 2010. Wow, he's been podcasting for a while.
Yeah, I saw that. He's been
Yeah.
busy. He's a lot busier now.
Yeah.
He's on YouTube now too.
Yeah, that's actually, I just realized a few months ago that you can watch YouTube on the Wii with the full screen and it looks decent. So I've been watching his podcast, the Sprite Castle podcast on the Wii.
Yeah, we can watch YouTube through our satellite, through DirecTV.
Have you thought about doing that, Ferg? Because I put my shows up on YouTube, and for the Odyssey 2 episode, I actually put gameplay footage of all the games.
Yeah, I watched that.
I mean, it was 2 hours long, and it's pretty tedious, or 2.5 hours long. But not to brag, I think that's kind of like the best journalistic work we've done. But it's a shit ton of work. But I think with your show, it wouldn't take a whole lot just to throw up some game footage underneath you talking about it. You don't have to have a video camera or anything like that. Just we'll capture like a DVD recorder, some game footage and throw it up on a quick editor and put your voiceover over top of it.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but I don't know if it's.
I guess you need a co-host to get some more of the workload off your.
Yeah. Yes.
And also, don't point a camera in front of the TV like 99% of the
the worst
on YouTube are.
Yeah.
The worst.
There's video capture. You can get it cheap.
Just get a nice modded system, and although I don't go into the long sad history of my modded 7800. Let's just say it took over a year to get it done after I sent it away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I'd hope we'd have a good bounce back and forth, and I'm trying to be too hosty here.
No, we like it. You're good at wrangling. We've heard you wrangle before.
I've wrangled, yeah. We do.
You're the best wrangler.
So, Final Fantasy, what's your favorite one? Just
One of them.
The one I
I
haven't
want a
played, which is
Kickstarter for all
of
these
them.
Final Fantasies. On YouTube.
Not even Ultima or any of those games?
I like Ultima, but
Really?
it's hard.
Oh, yeah. It's absurd. Space shuttles and horses in the same.
It's Ultima 2 or 3, I forgot which one had the sci-fi elements.
I think the first, I never played, I didn't have a computer till the 90s, but just from reading and stuff, I guess the first one even, you would save up enough money to buy a space shuttle, and then you have to shoot shit in the aliens before you face the final boss.
You're correct. Yeah, you actually have a space flying segment, and you have to land on other planets, which is just a bunch of mountains anyway.
And Richard Garriott raised enough money from that to go into space himself, so good for him.
Yep. Old British. I tried getting into RPGs, and I was actually looking to buy either Final Fantasy or Phantasy Star.
Oh, no.
But, no, there's a happy ending to this. Anytime I try an RPG, turn-based combat, I cannot get into it. I just can't do it.
Especially old school games, you'd have to draw maps with graph paper and shit. And...
Yeah, I can't do that. I don't have time or the energy.
Not especially not now. Not in my 30s.
Right. I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pushing 40, and getting my daughter to play anything that requires any challenge whatsoever is impossible. So there's a timer in this game. Stop playing.
My kids always do that too. There's a timer?
Oh no! Hurry up! I don't like this guy. It's like the first. It's like a mushroom that they have to jump on in Mario for the Wii U or something, and it's like.
I still don't like timers. I'm too old for quick time events. I'm not going to look back on the controller.
You're not gonna.
I'll lose anyway.
One of my pet peeves with the PlayStation has always been the buttons, how they make no sense. Like A, B, C or A, B, X, Y. There's a logical order to where they should be. If you know where X is, you know where Y should be. Triangle, X, square, circle makes no sense whatsoever. That's like hieroglyphics.
Like a learning test. Kids.
That's totally what it
shapes.
is. What do you mean triangle? That up? That left?
I read an article once that described the shapes. I think the square was for maps or paper or something like that. I can't remember what the other ones were for.
Really?
Yeah, it did make some sort of sense, but I can't remember it.
I guess in Japan, the circle button is the advanced button, but that's the American B. The American A is the X. So you hit the cancel button, really, to advance things most of the time these days. And if you do import games, one of those guys, the buttons are reversed a lot.
I think in Ridge Racer Type 4 for the PlayStation was like that. To advance, you press the circle. And here I'm hitting X, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything.
You got, I guess we'll go ahead and sort of wrap up with this. Somebody else have a good wrap-up question. Sorry.
What?
Okay.
We talked about doing research before this. I said, "Oh, we'll
I
just
didn't share
wing
the
it."
Google Doc with you, didn't I? Ugh. I'm
That's
sorry.
all right.
Oh, I got that too.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually for the 2013 Potty Awards,
You want
but
me to
I
bring that up?
censored a bunch of stuff. Yeah, go ahead and bring it up. It might bring back some memory, because that's all podcasts just from this year.
Right.
There's a ton of new podcasts this year. I'm surprised.
Can you make like a little Microsoft Paint like award for our show that I can put on our like webpage?
I could. I'm actually making a real award for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a physical award.
Wow, that's
It's a
awesome.
physical award. I
I'm
got
jealous.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get it back to you in time.
No. If you make something we can put on our website, just is completely stupid, the worse the better. I'd be awesome with that.
Okay.
S1500's potty of the year.
The potties.
The 2012 potty.
Yep.
We kept
Can I
it
ask
till
a
like
question?
2012.
Yep.
Am I the only one subscribed to Arcade Outsiders anymore?
I subscribed reluctantly.
Okay. And you still feel they're kind of C-?
I haven't gotten to the episode yet. I'm still going through all these pinball podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
All the
You're
news from Pinball Expo.
What's the best?
Just a storm.
What's your favorite pinball podcast? Because try to Pinball Soul, and other than the fact that they really hated us,
What?
yeah. Well, that's all right.
Don't take offense to it.
I don't, because we're not experts, and I don't pretend to be. But what do you like about that? I mean, like what's a good one? Because is it news based, or is there a good back and forth? Is there a good panel episode? Or I mean,
The one would be Coast to Coast Pinball.
Mm-hmm.
He releases them quite often. He has his personal viewpoints, his little adventures, talks about the news in the industry, and then he talks about like really bad threads on Pinside, which are just huge flame wars. So you got everything.
Oh man, the pinball world is so disjointed. Like nobody knows each other. We interviewed that guy from who was setting up the Kickstarter for that place in California, and he didn't know anybody. I mean, he said, "Oh, I've heard of Papa. Oh, I've met Tim at the Pinball Hall of Fame. Oh, I've met Bowen once." But like, he didn't like know anybody. He just casually knew a few people here and there. And I'm suspecting that that's what the whole pinball scene is. It's just a bunch of
No, that's a good
enclaves.
thing.
You think that's a good thing? There's like not a good unifying.
There's the old guard, and there's a lot of drama and fighting and disagreements and this and that. Then there's the new guard who's like doesn't even know about it. They're like the children of the apocalypse. They just love pinball and they don't care about the politics or the history.
Yeah.
They're called 20-somethings, and they're hipsters, and they love pinball. And they're fueling the return of pinball, I think, right now.
Yes, and me, I think I'm sort of a part of it, even though I'm not in my 20s. I mean, it took one trip to Papa to like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is Papa the one in Pittsburgh?
It is.
And is that a yearly event?
Twice a year it's open. There's the Pinburg tournament, which is like match play, and then there's the World Championships in August. But if you go there, you don't have to play in a tournament. They've got several hundred machines on token play, so you go there with $20 and you're entertained for the whole day.
Okay.
Was that the one that got flooded out?
Yes.
Like literally days after it opened, and then they rebuilt?
They rebuilt it. Yep. The Corps of Engineers redid the whole floodplain thing, and that because it's kind of in a valley. They it's supposedly better now, but people are there like tailgating. There's people drinking beers in the parking lot and cooking out shit.
That sounds like fun.
It's extremely fun. I mean, for us, it's a day trip. I know for other people, it's a lot longer haul. But somebody like Scott on RGR really needs to fucking go there. And even if they're not like friends, there needs to be liaisons between these groups of people, I think. And I'm not the guy to do that. I'm just going to yell at everybody else to do it for me.
Yeah, you got your older folks, and there's cliques and stuff like within every scene, and there's some in the pinball scene. Some they'll just have a beer with you in person, but they'll still argue and scream at you in the forums. That doesn't matter. That's just rabble rousing.
I really can't do forums anymore. I really only post on the forum or the thread in AtariAge anymore. I mean, I have over 5,000 posts, and most of that was from like 2000, 2001 era. And I don't know if I just don't like arguing anymore, or I don't know what it is.
You were on Digital Press a long time ago, weren't you, Chris?
I'm still on it occasionally, yeah. I
Yeah,
post every once in a while, but
Yeah.
I was a moderator on IGN way back in the day. That was my moderating claim to fame. There was like a classic gaming board that like 10 people visited, and I got to be a moderator because of that. And moderators got their names in like special colors and stuff. So it got me laid once.
All right.
Jeez.
I know. You scoff, but I'd say that some of these things you can turn into important things.
You're taking us into Jerry terrifying territory here.
Oh yeah, I mentioned his podcast way early in the thread. I've long since unsubscribed to his media empire.
I'm unfamiliar. Please elaborate.
Yeah, me too.
RJ, would you like to tell them?
Here's another case of it starting out good, and I remember, I don't know if it's necessarily his first episode he ever did, but the first one I listened to, he gave his thoughts and impressions on like Wing Commander for the, I don't know, Super Nintendo or one of the older consoles. And I liked it a lot. And he had a good little techno song at the end to close out his show. And so I subscribed just off of that one. And then from there on, I could feel it getting worse and worse and worse. And I made a reference to it in our thread. I said, he's starting to sound like a smarmy car salesman. So, and he actually logged into that thread there. And he said, yeah, well, I'm trying to take control of the internet or have a media empire or something.
There is something to be said about taking that opposite approach, like when you should be, fighting instead of flighting, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got his fan base, and I think I referenced that in the thread. He's got his fans. I don't know how many more he's getting with every episode he makes.
We've sold a grand total of 5 T-shirts, so we're up and coming. I think I've given away more than I've sold, but it was just we're slow during the summer, so I designed T-shirts.
I don't even know if Jerry's doing a show, is he?
I haven't checked recently, but yeah, basically he kind of wanted his own network of podcasts, kind of like what Throwback is now.
Is that a Ferg
the other network? Yes.
We'll finish your thing, and I want to hear about the network too, because I got a little story.
I forgot where I left off. Yeah, basically he kind of wanted his own little media empire, kind of like Howard Stern.
He started putting his fingers in a lot of different pies too. He was going to do like a horror cast, and
that's what Howard Stern does, right?
Who? I mean, I know who he is.
He puts a lot of fingers in pies.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Abba boy.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I used to listen to Howard Stern and watch a show.
Way back, yeah.
It was up against SNL here in the Twin Cities, and he was getting higher ratings than SNL for a while.
Yep.
But, Jerry Terrifying wanted to do like a horror cast, and like every show he'd say, well, we got big plans coming up for this, and I got this is in the, I'm going to work on this, and none of it ever, came together, as far as I know. It was all talk and no rock.
It's got to be a lot of work. I couldn't imagine. Mm-hmm. How you're on a network now, Ferg. How did that come about?
I don't know. They just asked me to be on, and it seemed like a good fit. So it's not a money thing or anything like that. It's just I got a lot more after I was on their show and I was on Guy Hutchinson's show. I got a lot more listeners, and then I joined the network the week after that, and my numbers are kind of exploding right now. So it's really really cool.
They host it for you too, so if it does explode, you're not really you don't have to pay for it as much.
Oh no, I still host it myself. I'm just on there. It's just like an aggregator. Everybody's on there, and you can go there and get whoever's show you want to get.
We got offered to be on some network. I looked through it. It was like this brand new looking modern gaming type site, and the guy liked us and wanted us to join him, and we just kind of decided not to because we don't do enough content, I don't think, to warrant that, and it didn't really fit our jibe, although maybe I don't know. We turned it down. Maybe, I don't know. There you go. we
play by their rules.
I know. I'm thinking like I'm pretending like I'm Mr. Rebel going against the things, but come on, we kind of do a half-ass show twice a month if we're lucky.
No, I don't think that's
right.
Yeah.
I don't think twice a month is half-assed at all. So. You guys you're putting out the effort.
Yeah, I got this show in the can. I got our top 10. I still got to edit this week, and then if I can get a hold of Tatton, and we got other things down the tube, I guess. But I don't know. We got like we're up to like 27 episodes now, and we still got some good ideas. We haven't run out yet, so that's good at least. We're not at the point like, oh, we have to podcast because it's a new week or a new month.
Right.
It has to become that. I noticed like RGR is like getting up at the very last minute every month now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they've been on for years, so I wonder what their end point is going to be. Maybe they should go back to once every other month, or I don't know, or maybe just do an interview a month. There's so many things directions they could take with it. A lot of like SoCal stuff he could probably put on by himself in mini chunks instead of putting all this stuff together in 8-hour episodes.
Yeah, that's true. I
think he has a backlog of interviews.
Oh, they've got to. They've got to.
They tout that a lot too. They mention that.
But they're going to several shows a year, and they were just they did one in Europe, and then they just did Portland again. So it's like, well, geez, now where are they going?
The thing is, for some episodes, I want to research it before I talk about it, and it takes time to gather up the games, emulators, consoles, and whatnot, and actually write down your thoughts, and then actually record it.
Yeah.
I better do this Expo episode before I forget. Last week.
Let's. I guess we'll just do a quick. What's your favorite show like ever? I don't know. What's a good question to end this on?
That's a good question. Favorite podcast ever?
Yeah, just your favorite episode ever. Like just
episode?
One particular show. Like doesn't have to be your series. Just what was your favorite podcast show that you did personally if you were a host, and then that you've listened to?
Well, for one I listened to, I really liked the when the Retro League did their, I guess, throwback episode. They pretended like it was 94 or 95 or something like that. That was really, really good. You could tell that they were trying not to say stuff, but I think it turned out really good. For my own favorite, I don't really have a favorite.
Okay.
Ferg.
Not yet.
RJ?
Favorite one I've ever been on, since this is the only one. I'll say this. And I really like what No Quarter's doing. Carrington and Mike, they do a great job over there. I can't find anything wrong with what they do. Seriously, it's a great show. I look forward to it every week.
Yes.
I liked your episode with the gross retail stories from hell. That was very traumatizing.
Oh, yeah, that was a good show.
That's still on my DSI.
That was kind of because we weren't on RSS yet. Yeah, we weren't on iTunes yet. That's kind of my favorite that I've done. So, what was your what favorite of yours that you've done, or do you have one?
I don't have one yet.
No.
I was once on the for an episode for the ColecoVision.
I remember that. Are you Rockets fan?
Yes. I forgot to change my handle.
That was you.
The man of many screen monikers.
Yeah.
Hey, multiple personalities.
Yes.
I guess my favorite game podcast is probably way back in Shane R. Monroe's day. I really enjoyed that first interview with David Crane where they talked for like 2 hours or something ridiculous. And David Crane was new to this whole scene, and because nowadays he kind of does the same spiel at all these shows, and you've kind of heard all the stories now. But I think that first interview I heard of him, it kind of blew me away, like the idea of just doing a radio show on your own, and that was that whole mind. The internet wasn't just a bunch of pictures and text anymore; it was going on to new things, and that's what that show meant for me. Are those still available? Like those really old ones?
I was just going to ask that.
And you can buy them.
Yeah. The CDs. Buy the CDs for $50.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that online.
I just remember, isn't there a picture of him on the website for his own podcast?
I haven't been on forever. I remember him in like his old
Shane Monroe. Yeah.
There was his co-host, kind of like in like a ghost image, because he's no longer with us, and somebody else. On that sad note, I have to use the bathroom, so this has been awesome. And you don't want to hear the sounds I'm about to make, so I'll go ahead and sign off here, and maybe we'll do this again sometime. I think
definitely do this again.
This was great.
Maybe this will be just a different show altogether. We'll just call it something else. I was going to put this on my moniker, but I think we have a different vibe going here, especially over Skype. So, but I had fun, and maybe we'll come up with some better topics to talk about next time. And I think we can be our own like all gen gamers, but like one gen gamers. Maybe just be a parody show.
I still like the idea of podcast All Stars at the Rescue, where we tell you not to buy sealed games. The cartoon.
On that note, I am out, gentlemen. Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thanks.
Good
night.
Now you're playing with podcast.
Hey listeners, this is Tatton. Just wanted to take a quick moment and let you know that there's lots of great places you can follow Now You're Playing With Podcast. We have a Facebook page set up, which is Now You're Playing With Fan Page. We have a Twitter account set up, which is NYPW Tweets, or Now You're Playing With Tweets. And, of course, all the episodes are available for download from NowYou'rePlayingWith.com. So we hope you enjoy the show. If you like it, please take a moment and send us a message. Let us know what you think about it. And we hope to have some more shows coming for you soon. Until then, thanks for listening.